You want more knockdowns, I want more knockdowns, we all want more knockdowns. So today I'm going to give you exactly that information. What weak points to hit, what combinations you can throw to really capitalize on touching one or two or three of those weak points, one after another after another. So let's go over all the weak points on the body. I'm going to go over why they actually make sense. But if you just don't know where they are on the body or on your body, that makes a really big difference. Not only when it comes to your offense and what you're throwing and what you're trying to hit, but also what you're allowing them to touch, right? If you don't have that real life boxing experience, maybe you're like, why does a solar plex weak point make sense? Or why does a rib shot make sense? I get hitting to the belly, but why is that particular? Why is that different than anything else? So without wasting any more time, let's go over it. You have a center weak point with solar plex, you have a liver shot, you have your chin, which is an obvious one, and you have it on both sides, and you have the temple, the same thing, on both sides, and then you have the nose for straight punches. So again, those weak points are not only on your opponent and the dummy, but also on you. That doesn't mean you have to hit those spots just to get the stun or knockdown, but it definitely helps. I vividly remember, I was probably 19 years old. I remember this solar plex shot, and it has a special place in my heart. Not for a good reason. My first coach, I did MMA, right? So my first coach would throw like a front teep, like kind of like a stabbing kick, not like a this is Sparta push. It's more of like a karate style, like knee up and just kind of touch the solar plex. It was like a button. It was, this guy, obviously I'm like 19 and an amateur, and this guy's like, 30-year vet. So, he could kind of play a little bit. And I have a vivid, strong memory of just getting teeped and like poked by like toes in the solar plex. I have a vivid memory of one time in particular. It hit, I remember being on the ground and like trying, I wasn't really that experienced. So, it takes the air from you. So just doing that made me paranoid because I have asthma. It makes me feel like I can't breathe. But yeah, so that's kind of what it's like. You get hit and there's no air anymore, and you're gasping for that air that doesn't exist, and you're really just trying to breathe for a second, and it's the worst thing in the world. So if you ever see someone get hit to the body, have some grace, okay? So long story short, solar plex very much makes sense. If you are a Bas Rutten fan, you very much know this liver shot, all right? So the liver shot is the same thing. The way I used to teach it to people is you have the rib cage here protecting. I'm aiming to go underneath the rib cage. Think about that when it comes to the attack, right? I have my opponent's rib cage. I'm going to try to dig underneath it and really get it up there. 51 to the liver, boom. And maybe I can set it up with like a cross to the nose to really hit a weak spot, and then that big old left hand. Or maybe you're southpaw and you can kind of throw this jab out, blinding them there, and then throw this big looping left hand, boom, to the liver. Either way, you have a cross to the body and a liver shot here if you're right-handed that is deadly. And a lot of the times too, if you go boom to the nose, boom to the nose, and your guy's like, boom, boom, he doesn't like that, 2 or 3 shots to the nose, and then you go, boom, that solar plex shot really gets him, and then maybe I rip to the liver, and maybe I come over the top with a big right hand if you're short and stocky like me, so you go, boom, 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 so you'll hit that solar plex liver shot in the nose, hopefully with a little bit more accuracy than my slow motion punches. We haven't really found our way to the temple or chin either, and those are like the biggest ones when it comes to real life knockouts. Body shots hurt, but a chin shot will end your night. It'll make you forget the week. We've all seen it before. Big head shots, temple shots shut off people's lights. I'm not gonna gasp for air. I'm asleep. I'm in REM cycle. So remember, you can always set up the top shots for the bottom stuns, and you can do the opposite too. I could set up a big cross to the body where you're floating, big cross to the body, and now his hands are dropping, trying to close that gap, trying to protect his body. Or maybe he's just moving a lot more, trying to get out the way now. Now I could really bait him into something. If he sits there and drops the hands, then I know I bait. If I hit him to the solar plex, stun him a few times, he starts dropping the hands, I know that I could go here with that fake solar plex, let that load up my hips, and give that looping lead hook. Boom. The hands will drop to protect the body, and then he's getting caught up top. You get him to the body, stun him, drops his hands, fake it, left hand. Now he doesn't know what to do, because that's only 2 variations of this. And if you watch my last video, fake, there's an option. Fake and then grow, that's an option. Throw, fake, and then throw again, that's an option. Remember, you can intertwine this so many different ways to make a lot of different combinations. Moral of the story is that I could set up my body stuns, hitting these weak points, and then line up the top, or the opposite. I could really wail on the top and get this guy's hands up, so that I could really capitalize on that. Level changes goes a long way. The honest truth of it, from my experience, unless someone has some real defensive muscle memory, they can't block at all. They're here. This is muscle memory. Muscle memory is here, and the second you hit to the body, the reaction is like, oh no, that huge problem. Unless you have the muscle memory to do this and crouch and crunch, your reaction is this. So what I find that most of the players will drop their hands, and you don't have to over-exaggerate the feints. I actually saw a comment yesterday where the lower level players don't react to feints. They don't care. So then I would sell the feint more. So not just a flinch like you're in high school trying to be like, what's up, dog? You know what I mean? I lost my train of thought because of that. Okay, what was I? Sell the feint. Okay, so not just a micro feint. You know what's really worked though for me personally? Not necessarily a feint having forward momentum there, but having a dip, because the dip allows me to load up on my back foot and then allows that right cross or that right hook or something else to come through it. But at least it starts the cycle, gets my head off the line. Let me show you. If I was facing you, it would be here and we're boxing and I dip to my right side. Okay, this gets my head off the line, gets me heavy on this foot, but then this hand is now loaded. So I'm here, and I can dip here, left hand's going, or I can dip here. And these aggressive slips is causing a reaction. I noticed that way more than just this versus this. This motion is causing a reaction. And not only that, this is causing this to load and this to load. So if the reaction comes or if it doesn't, then at least I'm here. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm here. Loaded, 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 not throwing anything yet, loaded, loaded. So that's the rhythm that I find, is that this is a way more of a feint when it comes to their reaction than this. Not a lot of people care about a VR flinch, but a lot of people care if it looks like I'm gonna wail. So here, what's that? I don't know, I gotta back away, I gotta react. So that's the reaction I'm getting. So hopefully that helps you in the future. So remember, not everything needs to be power, not everything needs to be a weak point. So sometimes you're not even in range like this. And sometimes I wanna dip and move, and I wanna throw a double jab to kill the space. 1, 2, and now this big boy, wow, right down to the nose. Or maybe the solar plexus, or maybe I change the levels, or maybe I show low, and I go up top. 60 for the chin, probably going down. Not everything has to be a weak point. Sometimes you're going to set up your shots, and maybe the third or fourth shot will be aiming for that weak point. If you are not used to the fight life and you're not used to a coach yelling at you and slapping you for not bringing your hand back, maybe it's not so obvious and maybe it's not so clear that those lessons need to be learned. And the same thing happens here when it comes to offensive muscle memory. I think the natural reaction is punch as hard as I can and as quickly as I can and as much as I can, and if I do that more than him, I'll win. But there's so much more. So with my videos, I really hope to help you fast track that. Not everyone has the opportunity to go to a gym. Not everyone has the opportunity to step foot in a gym. So maybe the only gym that you've stepped in so far is this one right here. And just a reminder, I've been in this world since I was about 16 years old, a little bit younger when it comes to like casual training. From ages around 19 and on, I'm 34 years old. I lived in a gym. I woke up, went to the gym, I worked the desk, I taught the classes, I opened the doors, I closed the doors. It was my entire life. And throughout that life, I learned so many things, not only when it comes to being a normal person inside of a gym, but being a fighter and being a coach and, looking at the fighting world in a bigger perspective, because not everyone was there to be on the Ultimate Fighter, So I like to think I have a wealth of experience and knowledge that I've gotten over the last 15 or 20 years, and I'm going to share that with you here. So I'm doing my best to give it bits and pieces, not overwhelm too much. But if there's anything that you feel like I'm not covering, maybe you want to see something a little bit more advanced, or maybe you want to see something that just for you and your style, that's cool too. Let me know in the comments right now, please. And if you're not already subscribed, you made it this far. How long has this video been? I don't know. But now's a good time.